Welcome to the Honestly Adoption Podcast, the show that gives hope and insight from real voices on the foster and adoption journey. Pull up a chair. We're glad you could join us. And now, here's your host, Mike Berry.
Hey friends, Mike Berry here from the Honestly Adoption Podcast, which you know because you're listening to this right now. Hey, listen, I wanted to take a moment to do a little bit of a series intro to our brand new series we're launching next week right here in Season 18 of the podcast. And this series we're calling Believing Beyond the Behavior. Listen, if that causes something to rise in you, either like anxiety or frustration or maybe even like relief, knowing that that's a topic of discussion, it's probably because you're parenting a child who displays extreme behaviors or often deals with anxiety, stress, being overwhelmed. And it's not just, a normal thing. It's kind of overwhelming and it kind of overtakes everything in your life. We're right there with you. We totally understand what you're going through. And right now, let's just be honest. With the current COVID-19 pandemic, many of us quarantined at home, we're probably dealing with an extra layer of exhaustion because there is no release, there is no break. We are hands-on 24/7 all the time. And you're probably feeling a little bit of emotion rise in you because you need answers. You need a new perspective. So here's what I'm telling you. This brand new series we're going to kick off next week right here in Season 18 called Believing Beyond the Behavior. We're doing so for two reasons. Number one, we want to give you a fresh perspective or a different perspective when it comes to your child's behaviors. What we're going to do over the next several weeks, leading right up to the opening of Trauma Knowledge Masterclass, is we're going to walk you through some of the whys behind the behavior. We're going to help you understand that trauma histories often determine present behaviors. And we're really going to build a case for understanding why your child behaves the way he or she behaves. We're going to walk you through being the detective when it comes to what your child's going through. 'Cause sometimes these behaviors arise out of nowhere and it's confusing and we're left feeling like I have no idea where these came from. But we're going to walk you through how to be a detective when it comes to your child's behaviors. Walk backwards. Look for the evidence, look for the clues to point to the origin of the behavior, because all human behavior has an origin, and that is absolutely the case when it comes to our children. Like I just said, their trauma histories often will determine their present behaviors. So what you're seeing with your child may be something that they were triggered by earlier in the day, a sight, a sound, a smell, a memory, and that causes the behaviors you're seeing before you. So we're going to walk through that on an in-depth level. But then second, we want to give you a new perspective on behaviors and on what your child has gone through, what their trauma history looks like, and what their present behavior is. We want to give you this new perspective so that you can begin to see your child in a different light. Listen, I understand where a lot of you are at right now. You're frustrated. You're at your wit's end. You're feeling like, I don't really like this kid. And some of you may even say, I'm struggling to love this child of mine. And I understand that. We understand that. One of the things that helped us was discovering that our child's present behavior does not determine his or her future. So your child may be 12 years old and he or she may be completely out of control, and you may be at your wit's end, you may be exhausted, you may be frustrated and ready to give up. Here's what I want to encourage you with. And this is probably the central theme to this new series, Believing Beyond the Behaviors, that your child's 12-year-old behavior does not determine his or her future. In fact, we often say it like this. Your child's past trauma does not determine who he or she will become in the future. There is hope for every child. And here's what we have learned through behavior management strategies, which is a central thing that we teach within our company. It's a central thing we teach in Trauma Knowledge Masterclass, which we're going to tell you all about later on down the road through this podcast series. Behavior management strategies are life-giving to us as parents because it gives us a fresh approach to our children and to their behaviors, number one. And number two, it gives us the tools in our parenting tool belt to parent differently and really parent better. That's what we're going to talk about in this brand new series. Listen, if you jump over to honestlyadoption.com, you can check out, actually click that red resource button, and we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into Trauma Knowledge Masterclass, which we're going to be opening up next month, midway through June. But guys, listen, thanks real quick for letting me give you a quick overview of the series that's coming up. We're working on it right now. We're building it. We're excited about it. If you have any questions at all, click that support link over at honestlyadoption.com. Send our team a message. Let us know how we can serve you better. And guys, thanks for tuning in to the Honestly Adoption Podcast.